Here, back with another one, man. Welcome to Hot Rod's YouTube Live. Guys, we got a good one today. So I know if you were following on social media, pretty much I was talking about marriage, right? And who benefits who benefits marriage more between the man and the woman. And that's what we're going to dive into. But before we start, guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Definitely engage in the chat. The chat replay will also be there too as well, even after the video live has ended. So always feel free to comment in the chat if you feel anything that's said during this episode that you want to chime in on. So, thank you once again, guys. Thanks again for joining in. I am your host, Hot Rod. Your boy Hot Rod's here tonight on Ladies Night. So, why I asked that question today, right? As far as I know, I just seen obviously lately. I don't know, maybe it's just my news feed, but lately I've been realizing there's been a lot of posts and conversations around, especially in my community, divorce, right? And you've seen a lot of divorce going on, topics on divorce. You've seen especially artists and entertainers in general, basketball players, football players, sports, all that. You're always seeing nothing but just people posting divorce, like whether it's from the urban community or the shade room, whatever the case may be. You just seeing these posts with divorce. So it made me wonder, why is it that we're so invested in these shows? Why is it that the AI, right, the algorithms is running it up and posting these on our feeds all the time? So it just helped me wonder, as far as a few questions on marriage and why is it that it's still a thing where I feel as though, for me personally, I don't know. I feel as though when it comes to marriage, ideally I want to get married, right? I do want to get married. I do want to have family. I do want to have kids. But if you do pay attention to what's going on, which I think a lot of times we all fall victim to, is people that's a part of that 1%, right? That we then literally idolize, we then mimic, we think that we're in the same position as them. And we try to pattern our lifestyles like that. We think, oh, maybe this what our lifestyle would possibly be like if it goes in this direction. And I'm talking about if I were to be in a marriage and I end up having a divorce, right? And I'm speaking abroad, of course. So a lot of times when you're seeing these posts, right, you then you kind of reflect on it as far as your own relationship or your own marriage. If you're married, like how would this end for me right now? Right. And sadly, I know a lot of fellas who's fell trapped to situations where, the court system doesn't favor them at all. As messed up as that sound. And sometimes be like, damn, y'all got to get yourselves out of that. Right. Like a lot of times we as men, we're always being told it's not manly enough to do that, or you weak. Right. If you go to court and try to, get custody of the kids before the women do, or you put a woman on child support, and you've seen that lately with Offset and Cardi B situation where everybody was pretty much judging him as a man. But if it was the other way around, those conversations would simmer. But my point is that we take these situations that we see these celebrities in, and we try to put into our own lifestyle. And when you're talking about it from an emotional standpoint, I do have an understanding why a lot of the ladies feel the way they do, just having a lot of conversations with some women. And it stems from early on, right? It stems from trauma that they experienced early on. Father's dead or was in prison. Lack showing love, right? It wasn't enough emotional stability in the home, and therefore you didn't have a father in the home, and you feel as though maybe you didn't get that love that you crave for, and a lot of times it can cause resentment, right? And you don't want to go date anybody else. You don't want to go date men, right? You feel as though all men ain't shit. That's the slogan. That's the hashtag. We all ain't shit. We all labeled in one, which is crazy, but a lot of the times when you in situations like that, you have experienced trauma like that, you grow up with that same mindset, and the next thing you know, you take it on every single relationship that you get involved in. With as far as men, you literally just be like, yo, this is not going to end well. It's just going to end one way, because why? I've always experienced that, right? And a lot of times we also, how do I tie that into celebrities, is because when we look at celebrities' relationships, we're seeing people like Offset, right, who ain't shit, who's cheating. Or you're seeing other celebrities who are sports figures who are literally getting pregnant by multiple, who getting, random women, multiple baby moms, Let's keep it a bean. Stephon Diggs, the same thing. Well, tying back to Cardi being offset, right? And they're going around damaging and hurting these women, and therefore you feel as though like, yo, this could be me if I go into a relationship, right? But we forget these people are part of the 1%. Like we can look at some of the things they doing, certain behaviors and patterns that they do, and be like, all right, okay, I can see this probably happening in the future in my relationship if things were to go this way. But that's not likely, right? These guys got money, they pretty much can do whatever the hell they want to satisfy their happiness. I mean, they ain't gonna most likely go homeless unless they go completely broke and they mismanage their money, right? But that's not a lot of times our reality, right? I'm talking about the average Joe like me, right? That's not our reality. And when you look at a situation and I bring back Cardi B example for one last time, I feel like even the lyrics that she had posted with Megan Thee Stallion, what is I don't cook, I don't clean, let me show you how I get this ring. I feel that took us back generations, right? And I use that examples because once again, this is an example of why a lot of times marriages we question, is it really in favor of the man and the woman? I put that in place because when you look at a situation like that, right? Once again, these are people in the 1% who has the money, right? They can hire butlers, Jay-Z, Beyonce, the same thing, the list go on and on. They can hire people, chefs and butlers, whatever, maids, and they can get their cleanings done, whatever the case may be. They won't be suffering in that standpoint. But a lot of times, us in reality, we're not a part of that, right? We don't have that same luxury. We can hire a chef or a maid or a butler to do these things. So we actually has a unit in the marriage. We have to make it work. We have to do these things, right? And therefore, when we try to then look at this celebrity and see what they doing and pattern our lives, that's how we damage our own marriages and our relationships, right? Because we thinking that, yo, hey, what's going on, Glenn? How you doing, brother? We thinking that, yo, we may fall victim to the same thing. It's not true. And this is why when I said trauma earlier with a lot of the women that I spoke to who deal with that, they a lot of times don't want to cook. They don't want to clean. Why? Because they watched their parents, their grandparents do these things, and they were basically slaves in their relationships, right? Their marriages, and therefore they didn't like how that looked, right? So when they grow up and they end up getting married, whatever, they feel as though they don't want to be obligated to do these things. Now we live in a generation where everybody wants the title, but not the responsibilities, and that's the problem. So therefore, we go on. We like, hey, you know what? I ain't doing this, but I want that, right? I do want the kids. I do want the family. I do want the luxury lifestyle that comes with being in marriage and the benefits and the perks, but we don't want to put the effort and work in. And fellas, it goes for us too. It goes for us too because the women also look at the other way. Well, some of y'all fellas be out here zesty as hell, right? And that's something they usually say when they kind of question the man's masculinity and their behaviors, right? And a lot of times that is triggering. That can get people upset. I can understand that. Like, damn, like I'm just being myself, whatever the case may be. But they feel as though a man ain't being a man, so why should they be a woman and be a wife and do these things that are obligated in a marriage? So I look at it as far as that standpoint, and when it comes to like a relationship, like, yo, what is the purpose of that, right? Like, why is it that you know we're not favoring marriage? Like, who does it really benefit more in an emotional standpoint? Now when we talk about a financial standpoint too as well, how that becomes even problematic is because we're also seeing once again athletes, entertainers, right? They're getting in divorce settlements, and when they go to court, people always say the court favors the women. I can understand that too as well because I have a lot of people in my life and a lot of great fellas too. I'm not talking about those who ain't shit, who's absent in their kid's life or is out here just planting seeds all over the world and then abandoning their kids. I'm not talking for these people. I'm talking for really genuine great brothers who have been put in the work and who have been in their child's life, who actually take care of the child more than their own child's mother, right? But they are afraid to step into the court system because they have the mindset that the court system always works for the women. And therefore, they suffer in that. And next thing you know, when the situation goes sideways in that relationship, in that marriage, you see the woman, the first one to go to court, and she get all the things that she needs, right? She gets the child support, she gets full custody of the kids, the rights, and all that stuff. And you out here stuck going check to check trying to pay child support. So I think a lot of the times too, fellas, we got to think about putting ourselves first in situations and not making excuses to be like, yo, why can't I, get this accomplished, or why am I in this situation? Because I knew a great brother who literally got two daughters, and they were staying with him for a long time. When they were pretty much infants to the age up to the age of like 2 and 4. And I kept saying and urging to him, yo, go to the court, because listen, the kids live with you. You do everything. You say the baby mom will do nothing. And I've seen that, right? Just visiting him a lot of times. And I'm like, yo, just go handle that. But he's like, yo, you know what? For the sake of the kids, the sake of the relationship, for my own peace and sanity, I ain't gonna ruin nothing. I'm gonna just deal with it and rock. I'm gonna just man up and do what I gotta do. Unfortunately, until he had an emotional breakdown a couple years later, when baby mom ended up going to the court and filing everything against him. So it's like, we look at these things, and when I say financial standpoint too, like, we see celebrities out here, and a lot of the men are going in relationships, and why we are afraid to get married, or we're seeing these trends, and we're like, damn, I don't know if I would even want to date or even sign a paper, because marriage only favors the women, is because we look and try to classify ourselves as that 1%, and we're not. Our lifestyles don't live that way. We actually got to work together and be together. But I can understand at the same time, when you see stuff like that, where every time these celebrities have divorced, literally they go to court, and it's like all of the man assets, everything he worked hard for, the whole slogan of Kobe, you wasn't shooting me when I was in the gym, all that shit. I can understand why it's like, dog, I ain't trying to risk that, right? I ain't trying to risk my assets. Everything I bust my butt and work hard for, I ain't trying to let that go, right? So I can understand why people are afraid to get married, especially the fellas who are afraid to get married because of that. But once again, fellas, we have to understand too, again, a lot of times the women sacrifice, right, their lives, even in those situations with what I call the 1%, again, these celebrities, is because they sacrifice and they take a backseat into their careers. And I know that's giving a cop-out. That sounds like it's giving an excuse, right? Well, they can still raise the kids, support, have a big home, and not a lot of them have maids, and they don't get it twisted. Even though you're a part of the 1%, not everybody's a billionaire and got Jay-Z and Beyonce money. You got people that's rich, right, and they got people that are wealthy, who is able to have a luxurious lifestyle that they want to provide for themselves, but they still got to maintain the home. So when you see a woman out here, pretty much, who has to maintain a home, and they got a mansion, let alone, or a big ass crib, they got to maintain the home. They got to raise the kids. They got to support the husband, who's pretty much the breadwinner, who needs that emotional and physical, spiritual connection and support, right? So therefore, they kind of do put their lifestyle on a hold, even if it's just temporarily for 10, 15 years, right? You got LeBron James and Savannah James, right? Them two, she had to take a backseat, right? She had to put her career on hold in order to help support LeBron, who's pretty much bringing in the bread, right? He became the billionaire. She was at home while he was playing ball and bringing in the income, and she was raising the kids. And now the kids are practically all grown, right? She can then go out and chase that, right? So she had to do some sacrificing for the family in order for him to progress, at least momentarily. So it's the same thing too as well, when we see that going on, when they go to court and things end, right, and all the men's assets are getting taken away from them, it's because, these are years of situations where women have to take the back seat in that marriage to help support their husband, and therefore, when they go to court and they have a bad divorce situation like that, they do get half the funds, right? That's not always the case for everyone. But now let's tie it into us, right? Literally us, the average Joe. Once again, that's not our reality, right? A lot of times we have to actually put our money together to make stuff work, right? A lot of times we got a co-parent in order for us to go to work, and the other partner can go to work and stuff like that, right? And child support, believe it or not, it really depends on I know that it may look like, because you see things online and it'll make it seem that way, that pretty much, the court system favors heavily for the woman, and I believe it does. I do. If I were to take a guess, I don't know statistically, I would say maybe around 70-80% from what I've heard in situations from the past of people and people that I know in situations now. A lot of the times it does favor the women. And when you hear stuff like that, yeah, it is scary, right? But that's not always the case for everyone. So that's why I was saying, as far as who does marriage really favor? Does it really favor the man? Does it really favor the woman? Yes, ladies, I was saying in the standpoint of, it does favor the woman when you talk about everything statistically overall. When it comes to child support system, the court system in general, right? Um, when it comes to having a man's asset, they do take all the damn assets that a man could have. Um, Paychecks, men are living paycheck to paycheck because they have to pay child support. Um, and then a lot of times too as well, women aren't cooking these days. They're not doing these things that, like I said, that their grandma and their mom was doing back in the aunts and uncles, aunts and whatever, cousins were doing, female, all those women and they see growing up in their lives that came from different households. They literally feel as though like, yo, I'm not going to be that because, yo, I feel as though that I've seen that experience and it never ended well. No matter how great you treat a man, he's still going to cheat on you. He's still going to do you dirty. And I feel like it's a cop out. That's a cop out on his own. But I understand too as well, like, yo, that can make men kind of nervous, right? So I'm not only going to get a headache because a lot of times relationships are a headache, believe it or not, right? But not only that, but I'm not going to be getting even to have a home where I get a home cooked meal, right? Make sure everything is cool as far as the laundry, all that stuff. And I feel as though it should be equal responsibility. Like, let's be real. I do shit for myself. I don't like to rely on people in general for anything, which I think a lot of fellas need to actually step up and start doing. But right, those things, those traditional things that you value, that you expect from a woman, as far as in a marriage, they you don't see them as much nowadays, and because there's a lot of reasons of like I said, like trauma behind it, things that they experienced growing up, right? And therefore that is used as an excuse for women to pretty much not do those things, right? And then you also see in the standpoint of not only just cheating, but also like the money aspect of it, right? You could meet a great woman and you feel as though like, yo, you want to show her love and you want to do all that stuff, but if your money and your pockets ain't where it need to be, they literally only come for you for your money. They only nothing else matter. And a lot of times you don't get love until you're providing. And I understand we are supposed to be the one providing, and we are natural providers for sure, right? That's what a man should do. But a lot of times is not through affection of love. Is a lot of times is to benefits, right? How can I get money from you? Or you don't even hear a lot of times, baby, I love you, until you've given something that's pretty much making you come out of your pockets, right? It's not until you invest and you pay for something that they be like, oh man, baby, I love you. Thanks for giving me this gift and stuff like that. And sadly, you don't hear those words till you provide something, right? So I can understand in that point that could be scary, right? And on top of you not wanting to lose anything, right? Lose all your stuff, or you go have kids with this woman and you stuck in a bind with them for 18 years. You got to deal with all that bullshit. And especially with this attitude today of the city girl lifestyle and F niggas and this, that, and the third. And that's when you have like all these situations where like, yo, you know what? Let me just be like, yo, I don't have to do this. I'm going to take a seat. I'll be a single forever. And that's not a cool thing to do, to even go through yourself either. Like, no one really want to be lonely. I know people say, I don't mind living the rest of my life by myself. I don't want to be lonely, dog. I ain't trying to be lonely at all. I think that'd be like, damn, I'll be depressed, honestly. I actually want love. I do want commitment. I do want someone. Do I have it right now? No, I don't, but I do look forward to it. But what I would say is the things you are seeing online, you should not fall victim to it. Do not compare that to your lifestyle. Once again, do not compare what you see out there on social media to your lifestyle, because it would literally be detrimental to your lifestyle. It will. So, that's pretty much what I was getting at, what I was thinking about as far as what, does marriage favor the man or the woman, and I think on both sides you can make an argument for it. But me personally, I think when you really look at it, as far as the general things, statistical things that, and I do know some data. I don't know everything, but I do know some data that I feel as though that it does heavily favor the women. And that's why, ladies, this is why men are afraid. I'm expressing to y'all why literally men are afraid to get into relationships, because of those things. They feel that a traditional, valued woman is gone. We living in an era where everything is fake and plastic, and no one's not real with themselves, their bodies too, let alone BBLs all over the world. Like, it's like, all those things that you love of a feminine woman, we don't see them anymore, and it's a scary feeling. On top of, you got assets and women trying to take away from you. They want to take your crib if you have one. If you have kids, they want full custody, right? If you have kids, they want full child support, right? They don't want to share anything, and they take all the rights of your kids too. So it's like, and then they'll go on and have someone else raising your children, whatever the case may be. Even if you're an active person, you don't know the intentions of what a woman have, especially today where, like I said, a lot of trauma is the reason why a lot of these behaviors are happening when you see women act a certain way. And fellas, let's look at it the other side. Like if you're looking on the other side too, we be out here cheating like shit. I mean, all those things you seen with celebrities cheating, men cheating, is crazy. I'm not saying cheating happens on both sides. Let's be realistic. But 9 out of 10 times, guys, we the one that's committing those acts. Let's be real. Right, we could be real for a second. Like we are committing those acts. We out here just nutting all over, dropping seeds and nutting all over the damn world. Every state you probably got a kid and shit like that. It's pretty crazy. And that could make women be kind of hesitant. Like they don't want to be a part of a relationship because of shit like that. They don't want to be like, damn, I ain't trying to mess with nobody. Like everybody out here going crazy, just dropping kids left or right, and they leaving their homes and abandoning homes, and that's why we having these generational traumas going on, because of shit like that. So I think that it's very, very important to understand that side too of what a woman's coming from when they don't want to deal with that. On top of, they feel as though like men aren't being men. Men are zesty. They crazy. They want to be the prize, right? And that's a whole nother debate for another day. I ain't really trying to get into all of that. But I feel as though, like, things like that are the reasons why you see that people, you see that women are, like, not really want to jump into relationships with guys. They don't see men are being men. They don't take care of the home. They don't provide the way they used to. They should. Right, and on top of that, they out here cheating too as well. No one's loyal, no one's faithful. So I feel as though it's like that's a legit argument as to why you seeing people like women not jump relationship with guys. So I think both sides can be argued no matter how you look at it. As a man, based on my experience, I've never experienced those things like that, but I do know a lot of people who have kids or a lot of people who are in marriages in general. Have experienced those, and when I hear their stories, I'm like, damn, that's messed up. And for me, it does sometimes give me a scary feeling too as well. Do I ever want to get married? Shit, I might be out here, just go find me someone, go to the doctors, give him my damn nut and be like, yo, drop that into somebody, just let me have the kid, I don't need the woman, right? I'm joking. But all jokes aside though, like it is a scary feeling out here to be like, yo, do I really want to invest in a marriage? I think it's scary when you see these things. You see how women out here are moving. How you doing? Right? It's the world we live in. It's true. It is the world we live in. So I think, it's for us to break the curse, break that generational curse. But I think it starts with self-healing first, right? It starts with us having to take that time to heal for ourselves in order to literally help shift this narrative in our community. Do the work, look yourself in the mirror, see like, damn, what do I need to change within myself? If I'm complaining about everybody else and I'm complaining about a relationship I'm going from one relationship to the next relationship, but I'm still having the same problems, then you have to look in the mirror, right? You have to look yourself in the mirror and strip down all those egos and those prides that you have within yourself and be like, damn, what do I need to shake down? What do I need to change? What's working? What's not working? Because evidently is facts, right? You have that data that's showing me your track record. Like, yo, I've been in and out of relationships. I'm always blaming someone else, but okay, it's the same result in the end. I'm done. I'm leaving that relationship. It ends. Then I'm going to the next person, but I didn't take the time to look into myself and be like, yo, what do I need to change? So, engage in the chat, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. Who do y'all think literally favors when it comes to marriage? Do the men favor or do the women favor marriage? Which one do you think? Do you think it's both, is equal? Tell me your reasons why. Argue, yell, go nuts in the chat. I'm playing. But let me know your thoughts and comments, man. Hot Rods, Blazing Topics. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Have a good evening. See y'all next time. Ladies' night. Have a good one.